Hey everybody, it's time for another Redneck review, and we are doing my all-time favorite superhero, the Iron Man. This is from the current lot. This is number one in the current run of the Marvel Now. This one picks up right after the events of the Matt Fraction line, where Iron Man had just finished his final battle with the Mandarin and has trying to put his life back together. Well, anyway, we're going to go and start this one off. This current issue was run by Kieran Gillian and penciled by Greg Land. Kieran Gillian is one of the people that worked on Uncanny X-Men till they changed around. Same guy who did the art. And they when they did the Marvel Now, they basically just changed a lot of writers around, and they're just trying to come up with new and interesting ways of doing things. Alright, well, we start off with Tony Stark in this new black and gold suit of armor. I'm not a big fan of this color scheme. I like classic Iron Man. Hot rod red and a little gold. Basically we're being reintroduced to the character. We start off here. Have you ever we see him, like I said, in his armor, just patrolling the streets like the hero that he's supposed to be, and on call for the government and everything like that. We see him over here. Have you ever believed in something? He's talking in his head. I always had trouble with my parents tried to tell me about Santa Claus. I just thought, gee, that guy's business model has got to be unsustainable. And God, this is true to the kind of idea that Tony Stark is. He's a man of science, man of technology. And God, I mean, I've met gods and I still don't believe in them. Sidestepping precise definition of belief, tenuous evidence, imperialism, imprecision, pedantry, and so on, and so boring. There are only two things I've ever managed to believe in. First, myself, and even then, only about 50% of the time. Secondly, the future that there would be one and we'd make it. And in my life, there's been a lot of what I've seen so much. I'd make anyone question the fundamentals, and the things that worries me, I never did. He never learned his fundamentals. And we basically go back to the nightlife of Tony Stark picking up girls and going in all the wrong places to find love. And at this point, from the other stuff, Tony Stark is not as rich as he was. He is not the billionaire playboy. He's basically a millionaire at this point. He just happens to be a superhero at the same time. And we see him picking up girls, and the one girl he can't have, can never get together with in the comics. It's not like the movie. Pepper Potts. We see her right here. She's at the bar and she's watching him. She's trying to figure out a way to help him. She doesn't do this just because she's in love with him. They're friends in this one. They care about each other. And he tells her, he goes, "Hey, Pepper Potts, resilient CEO, I trust you aren't scaring my dating hookup away." The woman's delightful. "Yes, that bra's highly padded," he tells her. Is she a spy master? Probably not. Then I don't care. Let me relax. I've got a lot on my mind. He's trying to unwind, and Tony Stark is the ultimate billionaire playboy. We all want to be, but we can't. And we find him talking with the one woman he's ever really respected and just loves and can't have. "What's this about, Tony? I've barely seen you for weeks. Resilient can't run without you. No, the company is fine without me. You're a better CEO than I ever was. And I'm not the only genius in the lab. You're going to change the world in a truly meaningful way. It's the best company ever. You can handle it." "Yes, it is. So what's the problem?" Is that it? Oh God, Tony, if this is a midlife crisis, that little vacation didn't help. Can't you just go and buy a shinier suit of armor? Yes, absolutely. That's on the checklist too. You wouldn't believe what's on the checklist. Checklist? This better just be a midlife crisis, Tony. Don't do anything stupid. Does that include the blonde? Yeah, sorry, this is just the way Tony Stark thinks. She knows far more than you ever will. He tells him about the blonde. Um, well, the story bangs away. We don't go into a love scene with Tony Stark and the blonde, but we go into Buenos Aires, Argentina, where a woman is on the phone and she's making a call, and we see this woman come out of the side. And it just so turns out it's Maya Hansen, the creator of the Extremis uh, virus that basically reprograms your mind and turns you into a weapon of mass destruction, a super soldier within about 10 minutes. We had thought she was dead and the Mandarin had killed her, but in fact she's alive. And she comes up to the woman, she says, "Give me the phone. Give me the daggone phone." And all of a sudden there's an explosion in the ground, followed by a rather large AIM drone coming up out of the ground. Maya doesn't seem too upset. I mean, she's even though this thing is clearly a threat, she comes out and we see on the phone a message sent, and she goes, "Thank God," and she's blown away into a crater. So now I think we can confirm that Maya Hansen is dead. And the story goes back to Tony and his new blonde, and we see him getting ready to get on his cell phone. He comes up here, just 1 second, I have a priority message, and go and, get myself some champagne. Get yourself some champagne. You're a genius, he tells her, And he listens to the message. "Hey Tony, it's Maya Hansen. This is a pre-recorded message. 2 sets of bad news. Firstly, I'm probably dead. Second, Extremis is loose." He goes, "I'm sorry, I've got to go. Thank you so much for the time." Tony has one. This stuff scares Tony so bad because if it is operated with the Iron Man armor in comparison, it gave him a lot of power at one point. It was able for him to keep his armor in such a state where he could think about something and it would come out. It's one of those beautiful moments where technology is basically what you make of it. It's how you use it. It's not what you want, what you can do, what you can't do. It's all about the person and the power you have, the responsibility. Yeah, I know it's a Marvel line, with great power comes great responsibility. But Tony Stark understands this better than most, and that's what I love about this character, and I'm glad they preserved it in this particular issue. Like I said, it's not as good as the original line, but we find Tony, and he's figured out that who was holding Maya was AIM, the Advanced Idea Mechanics, and they are getting ready to sell Extremis to the highest bidder. Apparently they had Maya Hansen in there for a number of years. They're trying to figure out a way to sell it and make money and rebuild their organization. And Tony decides to go in and make crash this party, and he's intercepted by what appears to be the drone that killed Maya. And he tells him, "I'm sorry, sir, your cash is no good here." "Oh, but I'll need to check the case," he tells him. "That's not $1 billion." He goes, "Oh, I know, worth more than gold." And it's this little suit of goo. He goes, "I mean, you couldn't bring a suit in here. Your security is patchy, but not that patchy." So he opens up the case, and like liquid metal, like the Terminator, and the second movie, it comes and just hits him, and we have our Iron Man all together set up. He goes, "Extremis Enhanced Isles," which is what the drones are that have been taken to Extremis. He goes, "Take him." Now before, the Extremis Enhanced Isles were able to just tear Iron Man apart just about. He goes, "That's a frustration factor in this familiar. If your ideas have at least one military purpose, you can't get them paid for. You can realize your dream as long as it's got enough nightmare in it." And that's what he's trying to avoid. And Tony though, once you fight him once, he's usually pretty good about getting together. So he goes in, he fights the Enhanced Isles, causes a lot of destruction, even though he's fought this before. They're still incredibly dangerous. Tony basically creates this suit to disarm them and reapply them later. Because I just hope that whoever else has the tech is unimaginative. And he asked the salesperson in this private auction, he goes, "So, how many people already have the kit? He goes, do you really think I'm going to talk?" And just like a lovely Batman moment, I'm going to say here, Tony grabs him, picks him up, says, "How many people already have the kit?" Four! Four, he says, and he's holding him about 50 stories up, Yes, four. That's what my energy signature said, too. And for once, the information from a thread actually lines up. Yeah, so there's four. And we find out basically what this first couple of arcs going to be about, finding the extremists. Even though this line, particularly, has not been my favorite, I don't particularly like this cover scheme, I did enjoy this issue. The art was certainly, even though it's in the color scheme I don't like, the art was certainly good and was pleasing to my eye. It just, and it was very reminiscent of the X-Men stuff, especially the uncanny stuff they have in Before Marvel Now. I enjoyed it. So basically, the story was remarkably well done. So for the story, I'm going to give a 5. For the art, I am going to give a 4, just because it didn't lead me any more towards my expectations. I expected a little bit more great art from this great cover. I love this cover. I'm just not a big fan of the art all in all. So there you go, guys. There's your Redneck review for Iron Man #1 in the Marvel Now line. A 5 on the story and a 4 on the art. Alright, guys. Talk to you later. This is Robert the Red Prince from Redneck Reviews. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions about Iron Man that I can answer, I would love to try to. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.